Nicole.
Hey, Nikkei, aka Nike.
Well, welcome back. Good to
I,
see
it's been a long hiatus.
you. Yes, yes. But you are back today because we got into a robust discussion about Nope. And you were like, we got time to record this right now. So here we But before we get into that, we got to talk about our sponsors. I'm going to let you take it away.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay. Normally I see it on the lower third. This was throwing me off. Urbby
Yeah.
Entertainment.
Throw me off too.
Urbby Entertainment, which is an international DJing company, and we also have a club in somewhere in the Middle East. Don't ask me which country because I can't remember. So before I mess that up, there is a club, that actually has our name up there.
Oh, okay.
So it's great. So we're doing t-shirt sales and we're trying to break into apparel. So I'm really excited about where Urbby Entertainment is going. So if you're looking for international DJing bookings and you're looking for equipment, definitely look for us on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
And then we have Shear, Dazzle, Salon. And my hair is natural. It takes a lot to make this stuff actually look straight. Takes a lot in the middle of southern heat. Yeah, that's skill. That's not my skill. That's the skill of the ladies that work at Shear Dazzle Salon in Chesapeake, Virginia. We have Kiki, who is an owner, CEO, and the mastermind of it. But Miss Sweetie is the person that actually does my hair. So if you're interested in getting your do done and having your do look refreshed, definitely go to Shear Dazzle Salon in Chesapeake in the Sam Circle area there. Okay. And then we have Color You Cosmetics, and that is the brainchild of Karen Stallings. She is also not just into makeup, having her own makeup line. She has an MUA school located here in Norfolk, Virginia, and she also has a makeup store down in, I believe, Lithonia, Georgia. So if you're interested in Color You Cosmetics, this is a basic light beat. If you're interested in cosmetics, definitely check her out on Instagram and on Facebook, and she has her own website.
Sweet. So, where do you want to start?
Well, I would say let's start with giving some background because I know that you actually, did the doctoral thesis necessary to understand this movie.
I
You
got
so go ahead and give us some background, and we can go ahead and delve into some of the key points about it.
Okay, so the basic story is this. In the town of Agua Dulce, people started noticing some strange things happening, and eventually they all came to the same conclusion. Spaceship invading our space. And then came the situation of what to do about it. Now, the general situation is we got to get this on camera. People will never believe us. And the shenanigans take off from there. So, as you know, with a Jordan Peele film, it's never about just what you see going on. He's making commentary about something. And I'll say this, that has been for this set of three films. And when he first started these films, he said they kind of go together because he's talking about something very specific in each one. So, Nicole, we started talking about what we thought he was trying to say. What was your theory?
Okay. I'm gonna try to not get too far off the reservation when it comes to this because I had a lot of feelings about it. First of all, I like to start off by saying I really believe it was a good film, but I also felt like I didn't have enough background information to get into exactly what he was trying to his overall point. It kind of reminded me of when you look at an abstract painting and everyone may like this dress I'm wearing today is about as abstract as it comes. So so somebody may look at it and have one interpretation of of what the pattern is trying to do, whereas in the creator of the pattern may say, oh no, it's really trying to do something else. So I felt I felt as if I came to my own conclusion about things, but then I wasn't sure if my conclusion was adequate enough or if my conclusion was what he was trying to get at. So let's start there. Um, the very first thing I noticed about it was how at first everything kind of seemed disjointed. And what I mean by that is, we had the character who had been on a sitcom as a child, and you had that aspect of it. Then you had aspect, in the very beginning of the movie, the father kind of explaining, basically everything was paid off. This is where we are when it comes to owning the farm. You had that component, and as you're going through, everything seemed disjointed until it all came together. Like, who would have thought that the guy who was on the sitcom actually was a neighbor of the African American horse family that was working out a deal with him. All that began to make sense, but you had to get through majority of the movie to kind of see how everybody was connected. So that's one thing. So I would say when watching this, you have to be patient, because at first you're kind of feeling as if there's a lot of different things going on, but eventually all those things work in tandem. What I overwhelmingly got from the film, I guess because, I look at most of his films as being, there's always some type of underlying issue that's happening that most people miss, in society. I think that overall there's a lot that's going on around us that we're not paying attention to. That's number one. The second thing is there's a lot of things that are going around us that people are paying attention to, but there's always a segment of a hierarchy that doesn't want you to focus in on, like, look at this bright shiny object. No, it's not what you think, it's something else. So that's
Mhm.
why that's why it kind of kept feeling, the whole time, is like, oh my goodness, there's always something happening where people want to make you feel like it's something wrong with you for noticing that there's something that's really going on, and when you call it out, they try to make you feel like you're crazy or stupid, for noticing it, because they really don't want you to dig any deeper to recognize that what you're seeing is actually real. So that's what I got from it. The other thing that I found interesting, and I don't, I guess a lot of our reviews, we have to give a spoiler alert. So if you haven't watched it, don't watch this at all. We probably should start doing a disclaimer when it comes to what we do. I just thought about that. Start saying, if you haven't seen it, don't watch this yet. Um, it's your perception. That's the thing that you and I were talking about.
Mhm.
And I remember one of my old employers once said that perception is reality, and it really is, because what I perceive the alien life form to be is not what it was,
Right.
and what I perceived it to project is not what it was. It was something that was even deeper than that, which goes back to the doctoral thesis that's necessary at times when it comes to uncovering it, unless you're a child genius. And I was smart in school, and I was even gifted, but it's like there must have been an extra gifted class that I just didn't take. They're like, no, she like gifted level 1, not gifted level. She's smart, but she's not smart. So, so I was like, oh, it's a little bit more than what I thought about. So that's my overall take. So Nick K, you can kind of talk about what it is that you saw, and then we can kind of go back and forth when it comes to the finer pieces of the film.
Okay. So I had to watch the movie twice, which I wasn't bothered by doing because I like Jordan Peele films. I like his style. So after seeing it the second time, I ran to the internet and said, what are other people saying? And I came across a theory that made sense, which is it's about celebrity. It's about people, how they engage with celebrity, the pursuit of celebrity, like you said, the perception of celebrity, and it's also about legacy. So if you look at each of the four main characters, and that would be Otis Jr., OJ, his sister M,
Mhm.
um, Antlers, the director, and Angel, all of them are dealing with celebrity differently. Um, to start with Otis, OJ, he's content in the fact of knowing for himself that his family has been in touch in the film industry in some aspect for 5 generations. That's good enough for him. He's more focused on keeping the ranch going,
Mm-hmm.
maintaining his father's legacy after his father, all right, spoiler alert, was killed by the aliens. Okay. M, on the other hand, and when I go ahead.
And let's touch on that. And that was haphazardly because the aliens were very direct when they were coming for you. So to me, I felt like it was haphazard because when you think about it, everybody else kind of got sucked up in,
Mhm.
whereas in he ended up suffering, I guess, the byproduct of when the aliens kind of like released whatever it is it couldn't ingest,
Mhm.
which you didn't figure out until towards the almost towards the end of the movie. Like, oh, it sucks in certain things, and once it realizes that it can't, it's not nourishing whatever nourishment it needed, it would spew it back.
We gonna
So,
get that.
oh,
That's that territorial behavior.
okay.
Yeah. Um, M, and when I heard her name, her full name is Emerald. First thing that came to mind was Emerald City, follow the yellow brick road. She's following the yellow brick road to success, to getting her name out there.
Mm-hmm.
When she went to the safety meeting on the set that her and her brother were on, she introduced the business, what they do, and she made sure to give herself a plug. And she listed all 7 of her streams of income. Okay. She's like, I'm in front of these Hollywood people. They gonna know who I am. I'm gonna catch my opportunity. All right. Then you have the director who was also on the set at the time. He's disinterested, curmudgeonly, could care less about being there, but he's there. He has a name. People know who he is. If he could find a way out, he would, but he doesn't want to give up the shiny part of celebrity. And then you have the civilian, Angel, who's working at Fry's, which, for those of you who don't know what Fry's is or was, they're kind of like Best Buy out west somewhere. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he's working at the local tech company. And when he gets an inkling that these people who seem to be Hollywood connected are onto something, he wants to ride the coattail. He just wants his name mentioned in the article. So those are all the different layers of, oh, and I
You missing one. You said 4 is 5.
5, Jupiter. Okay. In the beginning, when the movie opens, you see Jupiter as a child on the set of Gordy's house. And Gordy, the chimpanzee, loses his ish and starts beating up on everybody. Kills a couple of cast members, disfigures one, and he's the only one who survived. And he figured out early on why he survived in a roundabout way.
Mm-hmm.
But then his purpose became getting back to celebrity, because once that incident happened, he couldn't get any more roles. So he decided to lean into his trauma and capitalize on it. And that's when he opened the amusement park. And part of the, what do you call it?
The
The,
attraction.
yeah, the attraction, the gimmick was, at a certain point, he would call this thing down and people could see what it does.
Can we put a pin right there? And the reason being is that I think out of all of it, I got the most from him.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason being is that, like you said, he did lean into his trauma and he learned to capitalize on it because he could not go about Hollywood the way he was introduced to it. Because once he was linked to the tragedy of what happened on set, remember, it was all buried and covered up, which goes back to what I said about how there are things that happen
Mm-hmm.
and people want to cover them up and act like it didn't occur, like it's something wrong with you. It all got like pushed underneath the rug. So
Mm-hmm.
that that whatever fame he had associated with that show had to be pushed underneath the rug as well.
Yep.
So he couldn't even use that as a resume hit, like, oh, I'm that kid that was on. Oh, but you're also that kid that saw, and you're also, so he became to me um probably an untouchable person, because no one, when you think about what celebrity and what Hollywood or what anything in that realm is about, it's about the appearance.
Mm-hmm.
And once you're connected to something traumatic or major that's negative, people don't want any parts of you, whether or not it's by your own doing or
Right.
not. And in this case, it was not by his own doing.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I picked up on, to me, is that he really did think his connection with the chimp gave him the power to connect with this alien life form. He really thought he had it under control, and he didn't. The reason why Gordy didn't kill him, to me, was because out of all the other characters, for whatever reason, he had a deeper, more profound connection to him, because when that monkey saw him, he could have killed him, but he didn't. But did you think he was going to kill him when he did a little fist bump to him, or not?
No, no. So this takes us back to that scene with OJ at the safety meeting. This kind of explains why what you expected to happen didn't happen with Gordy and Jupe. So remember, while he was dealing with the horse after M gave her spiel, all of the other directors and stage hands came around and wanted to look at the horse and all of that stuff. And OJ, introverted self, he wasn't making a whole lot of eye contact with anyone, wasn't speaking above a mumble. He kept telling them, don't stand back there behind the horse. Please don't make any loud noises. And then the guy came up with that orb thing,
Mm-hmm.
and he held it in front of the horse, and he turned it around, and the other side was mirrored, and the horse flipped out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then they couldn't use the horse on set. So that takes you back to that first scene. Anybody that Gordy made eye contact with, direct eye contact with, caught them hands.
Yeah, he killed him. He sure did.
Okay, with the exception of the other child co-star, because at a certain, I mean, he pretty much ripped her face off. Okay, when it came down to Jupe, he didn't look Jupe directly in the eye. Remember, the tablecloth
Was
was
a
veiled
veil.
between them, so he saw him, but you saw the chimp's whole body relax, and it was a moment of recognition. I recognize who's behind that veil, and that's my friend. Let me give him a fist bump. But if anybody had lifted that thing up, Jupe would have been done.
But see, I also thought that wasn't the thing that triggered him. If you remember, um, when he was cool up until the balloons were released and one began to make all the popping sounds.
Mm-hmm.
So as those balloons popped, because they could take the pop, I was like, oh my God, please let these things not pop anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He would go off again. That girl coughed, another balloon popped, he went at her again.
Mm-hmm.
The father who played a role, he came out, wanted to engage with them. And I'm like, how are you going to engage with something that's killed other people, and you come in without a weapon? He doesn't even recognize you or care who you are, because he's in some type of fog or
He,
whatever.
his primal state.
Yeah,
He's wild animal.
basically. So those pops or whatever was going on kind of unleashed some trauma for him. But I did find it interesting that he reached out, to Jupiter. And then right when he was about to do the fist pump, that's when he was taken out. And that was the end, of his reign of terror. But that situation to me made me feel like he really thought that he could control this creature, because in his mind, if I survive that, and
Mm-hmm.
I was the only one to survive that, then somehow I have some type of connection, or something about me is super special
Right.
that is going to obey me. But I'm gonna tell you, The moment that thing showed up an hour early, he
Mm-hmm.
knew something was wrong because you could see it all over his face.
Yep. 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 Well, don't forget in that scene also the shoe.
Mhm.
The scene, we're talking about the scene where um, Gordy went ape. The shoe was standing straight up, which indicated that whatever life form existed was already over the set. So my theory is it wasn't just the balloons. The animals were sensitive to the change in the atmosphere anyway.
Oh wow.
Because even the horses at a certain point would kind of
Buck out. They would.
would go off.
They would.
You know?
Okay. I can
So
accept that because that whole shoe situation was weird to me because it was in the middle of the floor,
mhm,
it was sitting upright, and there's no rationale for why it would be.
right, right. And they focused on that shoe so many times.
They did.
So many times. So and that takes us over to when OJ was having his flashback when he thought about his father, and his father was they were standing in the barn and he was looking out over the what do you call it, the gated areas.
Yeah, they call you talking about in the middle of the field where they train.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
called that a specific name, but I can't remember the name of it.
It's escaping me at the moment, but he was looking out towards that, and you can hear the horse kind of just doing what horses do when they're untamed. And he said, "Yeah," he said, "Ghost. You can't tame ghosts. That's an animal that does not want to be tamed." And he said, "You can't tame an animal that doesn't want to be tamed." And that's kind of when the light bulb in present time went off for OJ, because he was like, this thing is acting more animal than machine.
Mhm.
Okay. So you got that part. There was something else I was about to say about what's his name too. It'll come back to me. It'll come back to me. Um but oh, perception. About perception. Um and it escaped me again. All right, let's move on. It'll come back to me. So, yeah, we have, and something else I noticed in that scene at the safety meeting when one of the stars from the show approached OJ and she was like, "Oh, what is your name?" I think her name was Bonnie.
Mhm.
"Oh, and who are you?" He said, "My name is OJ." And she went, "Oh."
Mhm.
And he said, "Otis Jr." And she was like, "Oh, oh, okay." And then she walked away. That's what I was thinking about, perception. Because your name is OJ. Oh, you might be like him. I'm just going to let that rest on y'all's spirit. Hollywood perception about certain folks. And let's move on. What other things did you notice?
Well, I'm trying to think what we were talking about earlier when it came to I guess the what that thing's purpose is, and the fact that it was territorial over that particular area. It didn't seem to roam too far, but I do find it interesting that it gives you Area 51 vibes because when you think about where Area 51 is, it's
Mhm.
isolated. And it's not very populated. So this thing had is run of the roofs of an area that didn't have many people, and who would be able to tell you what it is and what's going on with it.
Right.
That's the whole thing. So I find the location of it to be very interesting. And I did think that he bridged, I guess, social commentary with spaghetti western meets sci-fi.
Mhm.
because a lot of the music kind of reminded me of Tarantino music. You know how he does things. I was like, I kept getting Django vibes, and, and of course, that comes from spaghetti westerns.
Right.
That type of music, and of course, when you think about what that family did, they were cowboys.
Pretty much.
So they trained and sold horses, and that was their whole thing. I did find it interesting that for whatever reason this thing was really attracted to horses. When you did your research, did you pick up on the why of that?
No, but what I did look up is what horses symbolize.
Okay.
Okay. So they are symbol of freedom, un unchained freedom. When they decide to go, they go.
They do.
Okay. Which for the alien life form made them easy targets. Okay. It's like, oh, snacks. And they were fast enough to catch them. So that's what the symbol of the horse was. Somebody asked me a question about Gordy's purpose, and I think we covered that. He really set the tone for animal behavior.
Yeah.
He set the tone. Um, Portia asked me the question, what was the significance of Gordy the monkey? So he set the tone for animal behavior, how the animals would respond to this presence that nobody else can see. And in general, your your pet can tell when your mood has changed. There are animals that can detect when someone's about to have a seizure or something like that. So animals pick up on things, again, perception. We may not see, but it's definitely there. They respond to it. So you can even say that all those times that we heard the horses just kind of being real vocal was because they sensed this thing above them that was pretending to be a cloud.
And that was a weird part too, because it was there all the time. It reminded me of It. That's the thing that freaked me out about the movie It, was the fact that this thing had been a part of that town for years.
Mm-hmm.
Always a looming presence that no one could really put their hands on. And then once they really realized that it was there, to me that's when it began to show itself.
Mm-hmm.
Up until then it was kind of like just looming. But once people picked up on the fact, oh, it's that cloud that never moves, that's when I was like, oh, okay, you know where I am? Well, let me show you where I really am. It started to do its
But
thing.
look who it took to notice it.
Yeah,
Again, perception. Otis in his periphery was like, oh yeah,
that's been there for 6 months.
been like that for about 6 months. And he didn't think anything of it because he was focused on the family legacy. As long as the horses were where they were supposed to be doing what they were supposed to be doing, that cloud ain't none of his business. Pretty much.
It reminds me of this meme they have on Facebook about the what the picture looks like when you mind your own business. Someone is literally cutting their grass, and there's like a whole fire, like there's an inferno, cops, fire
Yep.
truck going on. This person's still cutting grass, like it's whatever.
Like that ain't happening.
That's none of my business. It's over there. This grass still needs to be cut. Can somebody bring me out some lemonade? It's just like
Right.
it's the level of focus, and
Mm,
that's the thing he kept doing. He did that to M twice in the movie.
yep.
Once as a memory, she remembered him doing that,
Hmm.
and he did it again when it came to her having to get to another location when this thing decided it wanted to do what it was doing, because he needed her to pay attention because she was ADHD all over the place for real. And
Hmm.
he needed her to be steady. Like, I need you to, I know you got a lot going on, there's a lot happening around you, but I need you to settle yourself, get grounded, and focus.
Yep.
Because
I.
your focus is what's going to save you, save us.
Yep.
And that's the part that I really pulled away from the whole, because she was upset that her dad had given away her horse.
Hmm.
But the thing is, bigger picture, we need this in order to do whatever it is that we do. And she didn't quite get it
Yeah.
because she was wrapped up in the promise. And I get that. Sometimes you can't see past what was promised to you to accept the bigger picture of it's greater than the promise.
And when he explained it to her, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
so they that big time. Because she was like, I think you took my horse to using some Western or something like that. And he said it was Scorpion King. And they ended up using camels anyway. But it was like, oh, okay, it really was a big deal what they used Jean Jacket for. So
Because she was so disconnected. But the dad said the same thing. Where is your sister?
yeah.
She was busy. She was busy. Again, I guess the whole celebrity aspect. Trying to find that pie in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And chasing that dream and the yellow brick road thing. She was so busy into doing that she didn't see. I don't. Well, she did see, but I don't think she fully appreciated what role their family played in the film industry.
Right. Right.
Oh, but I do. But did you hear what I'm gonna tell you? There was a line in there that was really deep, and it came from the director when it came to taming things. He said, "Ask Sigmund and God, I can't think of the name."
Siegfried and Roy.
Yes, he said,
Mm-hmm.
"Ask them," because they found out the hard way that you are still dealing with a wild animal.
Yeah.
Period. No
Yeah.
matter how much you feed it, no matter how much you care for it, no matter how much you love it, no matter how well you think that you're treating it, on the inside, they are who they are. And that thing to Jupiter proved that on the inside, it
Mm.
was what it was. Now you think you got it tamed until I realized I have 40 bodies out here.
Okay.
All you did was give me a buffet. Here I am. I'm around here eating hors d'oeuvres. I'm just, I'm getting a little shrimp. I'm
Hmm.
getting a little pig in a blanket here, whatever. You give me a whole smorgasbord.
Yep. Yep.
You serve these people up to me. And then Jupiter actually thought that he could look it directly in the eye and nothing was going to happen to him.
Because he didn't understand that aspect.
Yep. Yep.
He didn't understand that aspect. So it took the introvert to figure that out and go, if we don't look it in the eye, it won't mess with us. And Angel's response was funny. He was like, read the room. We don't want to talk about it. I cracked up. I'm like, wait a minute, who are you? You
And
weren't even really invited.
there were aspects of this movie as I'm going to call myself a stereotypical Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind because there's certain things about us that just what they are. You can put us in certain boxes you can put us in. We will agree to that.
Mm-hmm.
I talked back at the screen yesterday. I
Were you
not
in the theater alone?
not several times, but several times. Yeah, yes, for RAIL at the end, several times. Because in my mind, if this thing is coming, you hear it above you. Why are you still standing in the middle of the floor? Now here Angel is underneath the table with a knife.
Don't
I
know
was like, smart,
what was
smart.
he gonna do with the night.
It didn't matter. It was smart. No different than what was your parents going to do when during the Cold War they had them doing nuclear drills, hiding underneath their desk.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
and all the years up until yesterday, I learned that putting up plastic and duct tape wasn't going to save your windows or your home from a hurricane. That part. Grew up for years doing that until I got my own home and realized 9 hurricanes later, what?
Gonna suck the windows out is gonna suck the windows out.
Yeah, that entire part.
Mhm.
And it's never the wind for us here in Virginia. It's always the water. So the water is like, screw your plastic and you know what? Duct tape, ma'am.
Coming at you from the basement.
So that's the thing that kind of, I mean, I know that what he was doing was futile, but her standing on the floor was just extra stupid to me. I'm like, at least duck down, stop breathing hard, stop talking. And then she waits to start throwing up everything. And
Mhm.
then all of a sudden, oh, this is the time I want to get in between the couch and the love seat. That's exactly what I wanted.
Well, the thing is, you're watching it from the outside. She's thinking, I'm safe in the house, one, and not realizing that this thing is intelligent and can sense the anxiety underneath it. Because guess what? If the animals get anxious, oh, there's my snack over there. Let me go chase it. It figured out, oh, my snack is in that house over. But she didn't know to expect that. So,
But he was lazy. For it to be an intelligent life form, he was really lazy because you would think that it would have done like some type of suction thing to get to them. But
mhm.
if you weren't out and about, he wasn't really, he won't check it for you, boo. It's just like, it's like the equivalent of, this is just me, I could be wrong.
Mhm.
It's the equivalent of people that like lump crab meat, but they don't want to pick crabs. It's like, it's like that's how I took him. I was like, oh, you like lump crab meat, but you don't want to pick crabs. Okay, I see it. I get it.
I don't want to fight with the show. That's me all the way. But at that point, the thing was kind of ticked off because that by that time they gave it the decoy, right?
Oh, he straight hated that.
Yeah.
So
So
he
he was ticked off. He was like, "All right, I'm gonna take a dump on your house."
and did.
Yeah. So yeah, he was like, "Oh, this is war now," which brings me back to Jupiter's name, his nickname, because he thought he was the god of air, sky, thunder, rain, all of those things. And little alien had to tell him, I think not.
I think not.
I think not. But what made me go back and see the movie for a second time, because I'll tell you what happened. I had a discussion with a friend, and the friend was like, don't go back and see that again. Don't torment yourself. And I said to the person, I was like, but did you catch the Rorschach test at the end? He said, what? I said, the Rorschach test. When the thing kind of blew its body out and got bigger and really started chasing after them. He was like, wait a minute. I got to rethink my opinion on this movie now because now that you say it, that's absolutely what it was. So for anyone who doesn't know what a Rorschach test is,
And I didn't know that's what it was called, and I took one because they called it ink blot test. But the thing is, that's where the level gifted one, because compared to gifted three is. I was entry level gifted. Okay, so if somehow if the rest of you all got that, then yeah, yeah.
yeah, well, at the end, because I was driving home after I saw it the first time, and I'm like, why did that look so familiar? What was it? And I was like, oh, Rorschach test.
It kept on doing this poof, poof, and
That,
then
but
it,
even
yeah,
before it got to that point, it was like spreading out like it
yeah.
had, and it just kept doing little different shapes until that square mouth. I can't even do a square. There you go, square mouth. See that was gifted part one there for you. The square mouth kept opening, 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 but that's what made me go back and see it because I was like, oh, I really missed something. So that's when I went back, girl. These are the notes that I took while watching the movie in the theater.
Jordan Peele's gonna love you.
Because I was like, I know he's trying to tell me something. What is he trying to tell me?
He is. He's trying to separate the wheat from the tare, because the gifted from the people that played around in gifted class. That would be me. Because I'm just like, it was so much about it I wanted to get, but I was like, I must be way surface right now for me not to pick up on all the nuances, because I felt like there was a lot happening.
Yeah.
I wasn't connecting to. That's why, and I hate to compare him to this person, but I can't help but every time I watch any of his films, I can only think about who Hitchcock. because that as a kid, I know that his movies pissed a lot of people off too, because his stuff, his stuff wasn't always obvious, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, so I know that he's not going out to be like him,
Mm-hmm.
but when you are a genius and your mind ticks a certain way,
Yeah.
you're going to have resemblances of
Other
of,
genius.
of other geniuses because you all are traveling in that same vein and in that same path.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's not, lockstep with him. That by far he isn't.
Mm-hmm.
But how he makes it a point that this film is going to teach you something. If you walk away from it and you don't get something from it, it's something really wrong with you, other
Mm-hmm.
than I'm trying to scare you, then that's the whole thing, of the matter for Jordan Peele. But he's gonna love the fact that you took so much time. Jordan Peele, I need you to call Nikkei, invite her out.
Copious notes.
She did her research, she studied, and I'm simply mad because again, I don't mind considering myself a typical black woman. I was upset that people were not responding the way I think as a people we should be responding. If some, I was with OJ, nope. It's like I'm not looking at it. I'm not get. He got the truck. It did this like he went right back in the truck. Nope, I'm not. OJ is that's what I see us as being. Whatever his sister was doing the most, I'm like, did you ever watch a horror film? You didn't learn anything.
Yeah.
You didn't learn anything.
And that's the thing. He doesn't make films, at least these three, he didn't make just for entertainment. Riley, no. He didn't make it for entertainment. It's like, I want to give you something to chew on. Okay, enjoy all the little actiony stuff, but here's some meat and potatoes for you for your troubles. So that's why I enjoy his film. The thing when I thought about the whole movie, I was like, now here's the irony. They were chasing this thing down trying to get the ultimate shot.
Mm-hmm.
Evidence, video evidence that UFOs exist. And what did they end up with? Three Polaroids
Mm-hmm.
for all of that.
All of it.
For all of that.
I don't know how much Smart Tech got paid for, the Geek Squad.
Mhm.
I don't know how much they paid when it came to getting those cameras that the alien thing knocked completely offline. I don't know how much money it took to get those other cameras that didn't work by electricity.
Mhm.
Um how much it cost, and both of those were destroyed. And the other camera that the person from TMZ was on, that got destroyed.
Mhm.
But the money shot came from a Polaroid, which says that while we're out here trying to do all this fancy stuff, it's the most basic, simplistic thing out here
Yep.
that's going to get you what you want and get you what you need.
Keep it simple. Yep. And here's the other kick in the head. M had the opportunity in that moment to run to all the cameras and people, the media, looking for an interview. Tell us what happened. What's your side of the story? Was it a real UFO? How are you involved? She had the opportunity to run over there or to run to her brother who was waiting out yonder. She chose to run away from all the attention that she was looking for the whole movie. She decided to run to her brother.
And she needed to because he saved her. At the end of the day, those people out there only want you for in this day, not even 15 minutes of fame, it's 15 seconds, because by the time we get to the 16 seconds, something else has happened that's taken everyone's attention off of it. So
Right.
for your, and with the continuous news cycle and social media and the internet, it's 15 seconds of fame. She needed to go to the person who saved her so that she could get that money shot, because for him, it was never ever about that for him. He did it in order to appease her.
Mm-hmm.
He really did, because he had no desire. That's just like, he was offered money to sell the farm. He had no desire.
Right.
No desire. He could have taken that money and moved on his whole life. He had no desire. But what was interesting to me is what the thing that ultimately killed the alien life form.
A balloon.
A balloon.
Not just any balloon. The balloon of Jupiter.
The balloon of Jupiter.
Just all the irony came at the end. And I'm loving it. It wasn't the big climax. It wasn't the sappy, happy ending, but it put a bow on all of the things that Jordan Peele was talking about. And I can't even say all the things because I'm sure there are about 5 more lessons that he put into that class. But I'm just like, I love his approach. I love his approach. So don't expect to go and see this movie. Well, now if you decided to watch this, spoilers and everything, you can watch it once, and
Or what we need to start doing is in a caption for YouTube, and when we post it on our page, which we'll talk about how to find us outside of this,
mm-hmm.
is a put in big bold letters and with some emojis and all that there's a spoiler alert. So
Oh,
this to be watched after you see the movie.
but
But
people
go
who
ahead.
read
Hmm?
the end before they get to the beginning. There's always those people.
And you know what? I'm one of those people myself because I almost feel like, okay, whatever you're saying to me, I may see it or I may not,
Mm-hmm.
or it confirms for me what you may have seen. So I don't. It doesn't bother me. Some people really cannot take knowing the end of anything, so they have to be told after they've seen it, so they can kind of get their thoughts together. But there's one more thing I want to talk about before we close.
Okay.
I was kind of blown by the money and the keys. There was a lot of that happening. Remember, there was a nickel that killed the father.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a key that ended up in the horse.
Right.
And the when the alien, threw up or pooped all over their house, wherever that was, it released. You saw where there was a coin that was jammed into
The banister.
the advanced sort of railing, and it was also a key.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go towards the end, all the money, all the coins that she was able to use, it was a whole lot of money that was around the
Mm-hmm.
wishing well.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something with that. I just didn't figure it out. Maybe I have to go back and watch the movie again and take notes the way you did. But I feel like there's some meaning to that. Were you
There's something there, and I couldn't figure out quite what the key and the coin symbolize. I mean, you could reach and say, all that glitters isn't gold. You can chase the coins, but it's worthless. You can't take it with you. I don't know. It could be any of those things. But there's, like you said, there's definitely something with it. I'm like, why is there a key in of all places, the horse's backside? But
And the thing that really hurt me is that why couldn't Pastor Greenleaf live a little while longer? I was like,
oh,
come on.
I was like, we need the voice of God.
We need Pastor
The
Greenleaf.
whole thing.
Built them off our own. I got so excited when I saw him. I was like, I just love everything about him. And he was dead within the first 10 minutes. I was like, you know what? I don't even want to see the rest of this. You
But
didn't kill Pastor Greenleaf twice. I don't want to see the rest of it. That's exactly how I felt. It took
but
me
wait,
a minute to get
that
over.
that fills that kind of movie trope that a black person has to die within the first 15 minutes. I
Like,
don't think I think that was within the first 9.
it was. It wasn't the first 9, but and I can even take one of us dying, somewhere in the movie. I can accept that because that's how life is. All of us dying, that would be a no, because we survived over 400 years of oppression and we're still
I,
here.
I,
But my thing, my thing is that let's start there. My thing is, out of all of the Black characters on the face of the earth. Why must we kill Pastor
And
Greenleaf?
with the thing through the eye, that okay. Here's the thing you got to understand about me and horror. Excuse me. These three films didn't feel like horror to me.
They were suspenseful. It's a suspense with a touch of realistic gore.
Right. And so this was about as gory as any movie I've seen. This was as gory as he's gotten, I think, with the thing through the eye.
But you know what's interesting about that, and we're gonna wrap this up because we're about to hit an hour.
Mm,
He did a very realistic job of what you look like when you pass, and the reason why I say that is that your eyes don't stay clear. I don't know how many movies I've seen
mm-hmm,
where people their eyes are wide open like this
mm-hmm,
and they're clear as glass. That's not how it happens. You know, that's not even how it happens. So when I saw that part, I was like, wow, that is truly the mask of death. I was like, as whoever did this was really thinking about what death
look
looks
like.
like. And I did notice that, and I'm surprised they gave it to him. He still had the nickel in a biohazard bag that punctured his eye. It
Mm-hmm.
went into his brain because when you saw it, it was way back here.
Yeah.
Um, but I did notice that when they zoomed in on the coin, I noticed in God we trust more so than than
The,
anything. I don't
or,
know why that seemed to really like pop out at me because
mm-hmm,
it's etched in the smallest of fonts ever. But when they honed in on it, I think that popped out more than the the profile of the president that's up there. So
right.
but that was really interesting. But that's why I feel like the money is spewed. You know what? That may go back to celebrity about value and what's important. It cared nothing
Mm-hmm,
about money. It cared nothing about keys. When you think about keys opening up doors,
mm-hmm.
opportunity,
Yeah.
and most keys open up cars, houses, all the things
Yeah.
that we put so much value in. That thing had no desire for those. So I wonder if that's what that is.
You might be on to something. You might be on to something. Because the only thing that I thought of with the key is like, that's somebody's house key. And in what you're saying, you think about what how people are about their homes, especially if they are a home owner.
The American dream.
Okay.
Or American Nightmare, when when your house is upside down, but that's a whole nother story. We'll
Yeah.
talk after that with something
Yeah.
else.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah.
So yeah, you very well onto something. Those material things didn't matter. He wanted the life forms.
Hmm.
There you go. That's the other thing. What will Hollywood do if you don't have your mind together? Suck the life out of you.
And spew you right back out.
Mm-hmm.
And spew you out.
And,
It'll take out of you exactly what it needs and what it wants.
mm-hmm.
And once it's done that, you're of no longer any use.
Yeah.
So
And so I think it by the end of this, I found myself wondering, okay, this is his commentary on Hollywood. How do you feel about his celebrity or his space or time in the machine?
I think this movie proves to us that he's aware that he has an era.
Mm-hmm.
There's a window in time where he is going to be popular and relevant. And as long as he remembers that, he won't get caught up.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. It's sometimes art is for the artist, and then the rest of us have the blessing and benefit to get something from it.
Yeah.
And I think before people really started latch on to the fact that their art could really make them money, because most artists, the thought of being a starving artist, that was most artists, no matter whether you were in the record industry, you were a poet, whatever, a actress, whatever. There were very few of them that reached the pinnacles that most of these people are reaching, made the money, the amount of fame or whatever. It just wasn't out there for them. Most people just made the very bare minimum, and we're hearing about them 50, 60 years later,
They had to
but
pay those dues.
yeah, they're long dead. They
Mm-hmm.
weren't really popular or known while
Yeah.
they lived, but now we're unearthing them because they're part of the fabric of what made the Hollywood machine work, or what made the music industry work, or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that he's aware, and it goes back to what, this is real wild. I was like, because I guess now I might be gifted level 3. I mean level 2. I ain't gonna say level 3. People assume that I would remember the ink blot test. But anyway, but I would say is that, remember, OJ made the comment that it was either him or the sister, I can't remember. Someone made a comment that they had to get this image now, because once people figured out what was going on out there, then their opportunity to, I guess,
Capitalize.
as on it was going to be gone.
Mm-hmm.
And if he truly believes that for himself, he understands that his moment to capitalize on whatever he's able to do, he has to maximize it now, because soon it's going, just like Hitchcock had a time, and Stephen King had a time. Not saying their times have passed, because they're still, in the history books of doing all the things, right?
Right.
But with their level of popularity and celebrity
Mm-hmm.
has somewhat waned.
Right.
There's other people being looked at that's in the public eye now. He
Mm-hmm.
recognizes that. And I'm glad that he does, because that means that he knows that there's a life after this. The people that don't recognize that are the ones, to me, that end up having the hardest time, end up doing a whole bunch of irrational things, and end up hurting themselves in the long run when it comes to addiction, self-harm. You see them doing a whole bunch of stuff to get noticed.
Yeah.
And it's like they're clamoring and digging and pulling at something for people to, almost like a little kid, like, look at me, I can do this, I can.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that celebrity component. But we have hit 57 minutes. Oh my goodness.
And,
um
but it
so
was a good conversation.
yeah, it was it's a great movie. I do highly recommend watching it, because it pulls a lot of things out,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's suspenseful, it's thought-provoking, and it kind of reminds me of those creature features that I remember watching in the summertime as a kid. And a lot of things are going over your head, but you still want to watch, because you feel like you're being a big kid by watching it. Watch this. I can. I'm not gonna close my eyes.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, well, that wraps up the show. I give it a 5. And
yeah.
I also say see it twice, because you're liable to miss half the things the first go round, and you might pick up the other half the second go round. So, uh, that's our show for today. Don't forget to follow us on our platforms. You can find me at nikkeiwrites.wordpress.com. I am so out of practice right now. You can check out Don Miskel, our founder, at donmiskel.com. Don't forget to get a copy of his book.
And my website, I'm working on that, so there's no need to even show the Lord thirst for me. But you can find me. You can find me on. I hate to be that person, like, with my business card written on something else. Like, yo, here's my information on the back of my. I'm trying to be that person. But needless to say, you can find me on YouTube, as well as Instagram and Facebook. So you can follow Nicole Candace, and my name is at the bottom of my little picture there. And it's a lot to spell, I know. Blame my great great. And thank you, for that last name or middle name. So definitely, check us out, our platforms, and recognize that we are on YouTube as well as Facebook ourselves. Now we're under Media That Moves
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to our YouTube channel. But on Facebook, we're under Movies That Move We. So please join us. It doesn't cost anything. We're not asking for you to give us the name of your firstborn child, some Rumpelstiltskin stuff. We're just asking that you don't come up on our platform and tear up. That's all we're come in, be nice,
Yeah.
share your ideas, share some information. I know that Kay and I have learned quite a bit about African American or African inspired films and movies and music from our platform, because people post stuff and you're like, wow, I did not know that. So it's an educational place to go. It's an interesting place to go. So, we really want you to become a part of it. So find us there.
Okay. And one last person we got to shout out, the music that you hear at the beginning of every broadcast, Robert Rice Jr. from smoothology.net. Go check his page out, check out his playlist. Enjoy the jazzy sounds of Robert Rice Jr.
The smooth listening.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's our show. So until next time, people, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your week. We'll see you on Saturday.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye.